Hi everyone, I'm Virginia Kilmore and I have been stamping now for 20 weeks straight. I can't believe it. This is a huge milestone for me. The first week I didn't even think I'd get through my first video, so I'm really excited to be here with you. 20 weeks out, still stamping, still posting. I have so much to share with you this week. If it's your first time on, thank you for joining. If you've been following me all along, thank you for staying here. I really enjoy sharing stamping, and I want to get started right away. So let's do that. So this is our new catalog. I'm so excited. This is the week that it's going to post. There's so much going on this week. I can't hardly get over it. This new catalog is beautiful. Let's talk about that first. If you haven't received it, you can still get it from me. I will give you a coupon towards stamping supplies if you haven't received this in the mail from me. If you have, you've probably already peeked through it and seen beautiful things. My favorite things are the suites. Let's get one of the suites up right away so you can see it. A suite is just that. It's a grouping of items that are all related in color family, in texture, in patterning. I love it. I am going to be using this suite today to show you some of the wonderful things you can do with it. Today I'm only using this stamp set and these gems, but if I wanted to make a card and be sure that everything went together really well, I could also use the designer series paper, the embossing folder. The glimmer paper is gorgeous, and so is this ribbon. But this is the cool part about this, is everything goes together. If you purchase it, you get everything you need and you get framelits. This is the stamp set we're going to be using today. The framelits also are wonderful, but we won't be using that today. So some of the bundles are a little bit more expensive than others, but you get a lot. This is $94. This is a bundle that's pretty expensive, I thought. But when I looked at what you got out of it, you not only get two beautiful stamp sets, this one and this one. You get the cutout framelits with it. This one includes two designer series papers, a ribbon, a memories and more kit, which if you don't know what that is, it's a great way to make cards. You get the card stock, the envelopes, and then all these little cutout pieces that you can use to make individual one-of-a-kind cards very quickly, and then you also get the gems. So while they're expensive, you still get the 10% off on the bundles, and both of these bundles are 10% off. And then you just pay the regular price for the rest, but it all comes together. And that's the beauty of our new catalog. There's lots of beautiful stuff in there. Hopefully you'll get a chance to look through and find something that will tickle your fancy. I've been enjoying it. The other thing that's happening this week in conjunction with the new catalog is our new website. Our new website is a little different to get around on, and a couple things I want to remind you about is if you have saved your username and password, or if you haven't, make sure you do that today. Because when you go to log in tomorrow, even though the website will look the same in the sense that you use the same URL to get there, your username and password won't work the first time. It will work if you physically type it in, but it won't work if you do the automatic login because it's a new URL, a new place where they're hosting the website. And because of that, Google won't remember or whatever browser you use won't remember the username and password because it's a brand new site. It only launches tomorrow. So make sure to jot that down. You can still use it. And let's say you get on and you're like really flustered and you've forgotten. Well, that's okay. You can just request a new username and password. You'll have to wait a couple minutes. But the reason why you want to get on is if you got a $50 coupon last month, tomorrow will be the day you can use it for the first time. Us demonstrators are going to get to order the new emboss and cutting machine, and I'm looking forward to ordering that and sharing it with you in the next few weeks. So this week has been about using new stamp sets that I got to play with for the last month. And this is one of the new cards that I made. And I love this ribbon. This ribbon is just stunning. It's just all meshy. You can rip it apart, and it's glittery. I just love it. It's so pretty. It really made the card. I also used these gems that are part of that suite. Remember I showed you. And these snowflake adhesive back sequins. So because it's Case a Card Monday, you have to see the card I cased, right? So this beautiful card, I got in a swap from Pam Mead. I think I showed you some of her cards last week. I love this card. I actually wanted to do it with you, and I may still do it with you at some point. But the technique is basically the same for what I did here. So I'm going to show you the technique that I used, but we're going to be casing this whole color scheme and technique, but making our own card. And that's part of casing. You can case and copy everything directly, or you can alter it. That's what makes it really fun. So let's get started on this card, because there are a few steps, and there is an embossing gun, so it'll be a little loud. So to start with, I made myself a template. I take a piece of cardstock, and I either cut out with a circle framelit or a punch my template. And I think for this one I did use a circle framelit for it because I wanted a rather large opening. So I'm going to start out with the supplies that I need. And the supplies that I need are an 8.5 by 5.5 piece of Whisper White cardstock, which I'll set aside because I don't need that right away. A 4.25 by 5.5 piece of Misty Moonlight cardstock, because that matches Pam's card. And then I need a piece that's 4 by 5.25 Whisper White for my card front. And I'll leave the card here so you can sort of follow along. And what I'm going to be doing is sponging on it. Now, what I've done to make this a little bit more stickier is taken some of our multi-glue, Tombow mono-adhesive multi-glue, and put little dots here and there, and then I let it dry. I don't know how many of you know this, but our multi-adhesive is repositionable once it's dry. And when it's wet, it glues and sticks down pretty hard. If any of you have ever tried to see me rip apart a card, you'll know. So what I did was I did that, let it dry, and now I can use it to sort of just tack it in place, but then I can pop it off when I'm ready. It helps me sort of hold it in place. And I am going to be using my this color, which is Misty Moonlight and a sponge to color in. So let's open up my pad. And I want to go very lightly in the beginning because I don't want to overpower my design. I want it to be strong, but I don't want it to be so strong. So I'm actually not pressing very hard. I'm just getting a sense right now of what my sponge is putting down, how much I want, and I sort of want my center a little bit lighter than the rest. So that gives me a beautiful tonal effect. And then I'm going to darken my edges as I go around and deepen my blue so that white that I'm going to use, embossing powder, will pop right off. I'm trying to not get any little lines and such in my design, but sponging is not always exactly what you envision, so you have to sort of go with that. And again, I'm just building slowly, trying to be patient with a color that's forming. My husband, I can hear, is out mowing. I don't know if you can hear that on the microphone, but I can hear him mowing. He's always mowing. He loves to mow. He's so funny. I think that's pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and close this because you know how ink has a way of finding itself onto white spots if I leave it open. So I now have my card ready to put my white snowflake on, and I just have to pick what snowflakes I want on there. And I think what I did, and I'm pretty sure I did this, is I picked this one and I picked that one. And I took and put them right on one block so that when I stamped, I got them on right away. The whole idea is to try and get the white on the darkest areas of the blue. So I'm going to be using something that's a little different because I'm using embossing powder. Embossing powder comes in a little container like this, and I like to pour it in a little dish. I actually have these little tins that I keep all my powder in. And you don't need a lot. A lot of people think, oh, I got to dump a whole bunch. Look at how little I have. That's more than enough to get my area embossed. But I will use something that's called Versamark. Versamark is an ink that creates a beautiful watermark on a dark surface. In fact, I'll stamp it on the back of this because we're not going to even see it so you can see. I don't know if you knew that you could do this, sort of test out my ink. You can actually stamp it right on my blue cardstock, and you see how I get another value of blue by just doing that. I'm going to just change that up. But I'm getting some nice ink, getting my pad or my stamp nicely inked. Now, before I do that, I like to make sure that this is good and dry, so that's why I talk so long. And then another thing I like to do is use my embossing buddy to just make sure everything there is nice and dry and there's no sticky finger marks that will pick up embossing powder, and then I have to try to figure out how to get it off. I decided I was going to change up this card a little bit, so I'm going to stamp it out here someplace. Okay, and you can't see much there. I mean, if I turn it, I can see it, but you really cannot see much of what's there. And now what I do is I open up my little embossing powder case, and I'm going to pick up some white embossing powder and just shake it across there, make sure it really gets covered. And I always like to flick it once from behind to make sure all that embossing powder goes away. Now, the other thing I like to do is before I start using it, I like to rub all the embossing powder that's left over all over my lap. It's really fun to have white powder everywhere. I'm joking, obviously. Now, this is going to be loud. I'll try not to be too long, but we do have to do this. This is our embossing gun, and it heats up the powder. I remember when I first saw an embossing gun, I said, I can use a hairdryer. It'll work. But it doesn't. I know that because I've tried. Now, I didn't try to talk over that because it's very competitive to talk over that, but it looks pretty good. I've done a good job. There are some spots that might be better served if they were a little darker, so I am going to just go over them ever so slightly. You'll notice that there'll be ink on them, but you can rub that ink off. I should just wait a little bit longer until it's nice and dry. There. Okay, and now I can rub some of that extra ink off. Note to self, don't do that on camera because sometimes things go wrong. There, I brought that white back a little bit. I was just trying to deepen the color around, but I think I did it before it was dry enough. But that's okay, I'm gonna be stamping some things around it so you won't see it. So now I'm going to take my Misty Moonlight ink and I'm going to pick some stamps that I want from that set and put them around my design. I'm just going to stamp once with that big one and a couple times with the smaller, with these are all over stamps. There's two of them that are really nice. This one and this one. I love both of those. And they sort of fill in, but also go outside of my area. Okay, and now just a tiny one to sort of fill in some other little spots. I think that might be enough, but of course I can never stop myself. Someone needs to yell out, Virginia, stop! I always think one more thing will work. I kind of like it. I think I'm going to just finish off these edges so that it looks like an overall snowflake snowstorm, which sadly won't be long before we get those where I live. Okay? So I'm happy with that. It's a little different than my original, but that's okay. And now I'm going to put my lovely, lovely ribbon that I love. And I'm going to use my same old technique that I show you all the time. I'm going to tie off a knot and then trim that. And I will cut this. And then I will also cut this down the middle because I want my bow right in the middle. Before I put this down though, I should get my sentiment, don't you think? Because that'll give me some room. And the sentiment I picked was Snowflake Wishes for a Merry Christmas. I love clear stamps because it makes it very easy to get things straight. So I'm going to line this up with the bottom of my grid here. And I'm going to go ahead and line that up with the bottom of that. And now I'm ready to put my card together. That didn't take too long. Sometimes I'm a little bit hesitant with embossing because I think it takes a lot of time. But it really doesn't. And it's such a pretty effect, that white on there. So I know that I want it on there like that. I'm going to take my tape, our new Stampin' Seal tape, and just go ahead and flip that around. But then make sure I do it correctly from this side as well. I'm really liking our new Stampin' Seal. It's different, but different in a good way. I am not having trouble with it like I have had with other products that we've sold. So once I'm happy with it, I'm going to take that piece that I did earlier. Now, isn't that pretty? That really comes out nice. So don't forget that little technique that you can use with Versamark. A lot of people forget that you can do that. It's different than stamping. And actually, I think I'll show you that. Since I got you here, and I got a stamp that's dirty, I'll stamp with this stamp right on there, and you can see the difference. See how that's a lot darker? Even though that's the same color, it will dry a little bit lighter than it has, but the Versamark gives a different kind of feel to it. So I'm going to go ahead and glue this down. I'm going to first glue it on my cardstock card backing. And I did not use my bone folder today, and I can feel that that crease is not sitting well. So I'm going to go ahead and glue this down. I always like to put one down the middle. I like to use that method of sort of collecting it like you would a group of cards, playing cards. You know how you sort of stack them and hit them? That helps me sort of line it up. Then I'm going to put a little glue back here. I do have some of that tape on there. And I am getting braver. I'm starting to use my new tape, Stampin' Seal tape, because I like the way it works. But I do tend to like this because I can move it around until I'm really happy. I have a tendency to not get things laying the way I want them. Until I'm sure this is nice and dry, I'm not going to drag my bone folder across. But the bone folder really helps you get the contact that you like. And now all that's left is pretty embellishment. And who doesn't love embellishments? Now, reminder that this week I'm doing a lot of things with the new catalog. And if you find you need something, don't forget to use this code. It helps the host us out. This week, the hostess is going to appear as me, but eventually I'll change that depending on who hosts this month's workshop. All your supplies are listed right here. I do try to post them online, but I haven't been doing that lately because nobody seems to really be interested in it. So I'm going to hold off until someone says, hey, what happened? How come you're not posting the info? I'm going to take the biggest gem from here and place it right in the middle there. And then the next size down. Right on here. And I think now I'm going to use snowflakes. Now I'm going to put one more on. I love these gems. They're so pretty. They glitter. Now the snowflakes are beautiful. We have pink toned ones and blue-green toned ones. So I'm going to try these because I used the pink ones on this other one. So we can sort of see the difference. It just adds a little bit of glitter. Now I'm breaking my rule of 3 on here just because I love the bling. But that's such a pretty card for a holiday. And if you're thinking about making your cards, this is a great time. We're all stuck at home. We might as well make cards. I hope you've enjoyed that today, and hopefully you will get online and make cards sometime this afternoon. I will be on again tomorrow at 1. I'll have another beautiful card for you to enjoy. Have a great day, and I'll see you tomorrow.